Shout out to Bring Our Q, Julius, you legend. We're going to do a joint interview, yeah? Yeah, we'll do a joint interview, Julius. Thanks for the support. You're a legend. From your girls, Raven and Ellie.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. Confirmation of what I already thought, what I already predicted. The World Boxing Council confirms the Tiara Brown versus Hannah Rapp winner must defend the title against Ellie Scotney immediately afterwards. Undisputed super bantamweight champion Ellie Scotney has made the official decision to vacate her WBC World Championship in order to move up in weight to pursue new challenges in her pro boxing career. Scotney confirmed herself as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world by unifying all the 122-pound titles, standing out for her flawless technique, discipline, and memorable performances inside the ring. Her reign as WBC champion was a fundamental piece of the historic journey that crowned her as the undisputed monarch of the division. The WBC title was the third alphabet title that Ellie took from a reigning champion. The first was the IBF that she took from Shernika Johnson. The second was the WBO that she took from a then unbeaten Sigolene Lafarve. And the third was the WBC title that she took from the longest reigning champion at the weight at that time, Mexico's own Yemi Mercado, capping off the set with the WBA title that she just won from Mayeli Flores. Over 10 intense rounds, she showcased her technical mastery and movement to counteract Flores' aggressive pressure, convincing the judges who turned in scorecards of 100-90, 97-93, and 98-92, all in favor of Scotney. The World Boxing Council has confirmed that following the strategic move, Scotney will be granted the immediate right to contest the WBC featherweight title in her new division. Which is what I said would happen. Upon moving up, Tiara Brown's green belt would be the first that Ellie Scotney goes after. Consequently, the winner of the upcoming bout between Tiara Brown and Hannah Rapp must defend the WBC crown by directly facing Scotney in her next commitment, with Scotney set to be ranked at the top of the WBC's 126-pound lists for the month of June. So it really doesn't matter who wins Tiara Brown versus Hannah Rapp, because whoever wins, they're going to have to deal with Ellie, and I believe that Ellie can beat them both. Some may have wanted to see Ellie fight Skye Nicholson at 122 before leaving that division, but fighting the woman that beat her is a lot better and at a new weight for a title, so I won't begrudge Ellie not fighting Skye. She ends up fighting Tiara instead, a veteran of 20 fights to Hannah Rapp's just 9. What are Hannah's 8 wins with no losses and 1 draw? To Tiara Brown, who's 38 years old, Hannah's 26. The defending champion may be noticeably older than the challenger, but I actually like Tiara Brown's chances in this fight. I think she'll do enough to win a points decision, at minimum. And what about with Ellie? That fight's a little bit more hard to imagine because Tiara Brown can choose to either box and move, box and punch, or bang and brawl. Her being noticeably taller and longer than Ellie Scotney, she does have more than one way of fighting the fight. She can try to overpower her, like she overpowered Skye Nicholson. Be aggressive. And we have to see how Ellie Scotney handles it. Being new to the weight and facing a world champion straight away, you could give Ellie Scotney the edge to win the fight, but whether or not it's going to be easy, that's something else, as Tiara will be noticeably taller and longer, arguably stronger than anybody Ellie's fought so far. Now, that matters a great deal when a fighter's new to a weight. Even a fighter as fundamentally sound as Ellie Scotney, arguably one of the most fundamentally sound technical fighters in the women's game. She's gonna need it at 126, where the girls are gonna be a bit bigger, punch a bit harder, be a bit more durable. Ellie wasn't a big super bantamweight. She was actually on the more moderate end of the spectrum as far as 122-pounders go. At 126, she's gonna be noticeably smaller than some of these girls, Tiara included. All the more reason to tune into her fight with Hannah Rapp to see how that goes and how she looks on the undercard of what is O'Shea Jones's MVP debut on the Plus. Not to be confused with ESPN Linear. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, this past Monday, quite predictably, Ryan Garcia told Jimmy Fallon who his next opponent is going to be, announcing on The Tonight Show that Conor Benn will be his first WBC welterweight title defense on September 12th in Las Vegas, which is what we all expected. And thus, I don't think the official announcement landed in all the ways that Ryan thought it would. Ryan used a late-night television appearance to announce his first WBC welterweight title defense, and the revelation came with a personal grievance attached that will make the fight feel more than a routine championship bout. Appearing on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, the 27-year-old champion confirmed he will face Britain's Conor Benn on September 12th at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Garcia built to the reveal with deliberate vagueness, telling Fallon the opponent was from across the pond. But the announcement itself didn't have the impact of, say, Maypac when that was announced more than a decade ago, or even Ryan's fight with Gervonta Davis, which created a stir. The fight with Conor Benn, while big by today's standards, I don't imagine the average viewer that takes in the Jimmy Fallon show even knows who Conor Benn is. When Fallon appeared genuinely baffled, apparently wondering if Garcia was talking about UFOs, the champion clarified, he is from England. I'll just say his name. It's Conor Benn. Garcia, who walked back his public support of Donald Trump following his administration's handling of the Epstein files, said, "He actually confronted me at an awards show 2 years ago," Garcia told Fallon. "My wife was there, and he pressed me. He grabbed me. So it's a little personal. We'll be ready to go get him. Trust me. We'll show him how it's done." But is it really personal between Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia? I'd say it's more personal between Ryan and Devin than Ryan and Conor. With Ryan and Conor, it really is just business. Ryan elaborated later in the interview, "I'm really going to put a whooping on this man, and we will send him back to the UK sipping on some tea." The fight brings together two of the sport's most combustible personalities, and both carry complicated histories. Garcia won his first major world title in February with a dominant UD win over Mario Barrios, dropping him in the opening stanza before controlling the rest of the fight to claim the WBC title. His path to that title included a year-long suspension following a failed drug test in 2024, a reinstatement by the WBC in late 2025, and a public profile that has generated as many headlines off the canvas as on it. Benn carries his own version of that story. The 29-year-old son of the former two-weight world champion Nigel Benn has never competed for a world title and was himself sidelined for a year following his own doping scandal. He has since repositioned himself by joining Zuffa Boxing, the promotion run by UFC chief Dana White, and defeating Regis Prograis in his first outing under the banner in April. He recently signed a multi-fight extension with the company. Benn has not fought at welterweight since February of 2024, spending much of the intervening period competing above the division. The September 12th date puts Garcia versus Benn on the same night as Canelo versus Mobili in Riyadh, giving boxing two significant cards on opposite sides of the world, though hopefully not simultaneously. I figure since Canelo's card is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, that one's going to happen in the afternoon here in the United States and service as the lead-in for Ryan's fight, both of which I expect to land on Netflix. So that's going to be a very big day on that platform that is still beaming from the big numbers they just did with Rousey versus Carano, an estimated 17 million viewers. I can tell you now, the numbers for Canelo versus Mobili and Garcia versus Benn are going to be even bigger than that. And we're talking about sustained viewership throughout a lengthy period, from the moment Canelo versus Mobili starts in the afternoon to the very end of the night. There are going to be a lot of eyes on the Netflix platform all around the world. Though if it feels like Ryan's official announcement of the Conor Benn fight didn't land in all the ways that it needed to, it's because, well, Jimmy Fallon's audience likely isn't all that familiar with Conor Benn. I don't expect the crowd to erupt. I don't expect that many people were falling out of their seats with excitement over a Conor Benn fight. Commercially, it's definitely one of the bigger fights you can make in the sport right now, but it just doesn't hit like, say, Canelo versus Cotto hit when that was announced. That was a big fight, sold about 900,000 pay-per-view buys. It just doesn't hit like when Canelo versus Golovkin was announced. That sold 1 million every time they did it. So now you're thinking to yourself, well, what makes this a big fight? If it were gonna be a pay-per-view, I'd be skeptical as to what it could do in the United States or the United Kingdom via that old model. But because it's gonna be carried by Netflix, that exponentially increases the size of the audience and the fight's profile as Netflix interest in staging live events, live boxing matches continues into the new year. That's what makes it big. That Netflix are the ones doing it. I've got Ryan winning the fight by way of knockout. And now you're wondering, well, how's he going to knock out Conor Benn when he couldn't knock out Mario Barrios? Conor's going to be drained. It's going to be hard for him to get back down to 147. It's going to be hard for him to get there, and when he does, he's not going to be as sharp, not going to be as explosive, not going to punch as hard, and not going to be able to take a punch. Conor's going to be drained. And that's why I think Ryan is going to put him out. For Ryan, moving to welter was a breath of fresh air. For Conor, moving back to welter, well, that's a death sentence. A knockout win on a big platform like Netflix will certainly lend itself to growing Ryan's overall audience and his celebrity. That if he really wasn't that big a draw before, he might become one now with this victory. And if the numbers are good, Netflix is going to want to bring him back. You want to pay attention to that. It may be Dana White and Zuffa Boxing that facilitated the deal with Netflix to bring this fight to that platform. Not Golden Boy. But it's going to be the Golden Boy Promotions fighter that wins, opening the door for Oscar De La Hoya to maybe get something going with Netflix. You see what they did with Anthony Joshua? After the Jake Paul numbers were so good, they want to bring him back for the Tyson Fury fight. If the Ryan Garcia numbers are good for the Conor Benn fight, same thing. But who does Ryan Garcia fight beyond the Conor Benn fight? Devin Haney's still around. A Devin Haney rematch is still worth something. Just imagine if that lands on the Netflix platform. It becomes exponentially bigger. As a pay-per-view, you can definitely sell it and do something in the neighborhood of 250, maybe 3, maybe a little more than that. But on Netflix, forget about it. It becomes huge. Forget it. Massive. So that's something you want to pay attention to for the not-so-distant future. Netflix's continued role in the boxing space and what other fights they might try to co-opt, try to commandeer. Because they only want the big ones. They don't necessarily want to make a commitment to a single promotional outfit. Instead, they just want the fights that are already built and already big. Like these. These what? These nuts. And conclusively, the more fights Netflix decides to commandeer, the less times me and you have to pay per view. That's the upside for us. What's not the upside for DAZN, where many of these fighters have normally fought and where many of these brands have been built. When Netflix eats, DAZN doesn't shit. A fight like this one on DAZN would have been used to spruce up their ultimate tier that I think they're going to end up phasing out. They're going to have to. I don't imagine many, if any, Americans have decided to pay $400 plus upfront for what is the DAZN ultimate tier. I don't think things are going smoothly in that department. I think the American consumer is buying these pay-per-views sparingly. Just the ones they want to watch. Just the ones they're interested in. And that's not all of them. So what DAZN could become, in a manner of speaking, is a feeder system for Netflix. Build up a fighter up until a certain point to where once they're big enough, they graduate to boxing on Netflix. That's how it looks. And that's not a bad thing. How many times here on the channel have I told you? Boxing was bigger when it was more accessible to more people. And it just so happens that more people are subscribed to Netflix than they are DAZN. Comparatively, a Netflix subscription is cheaper than a DAZN subscription. So the more fights that end up there, the bigger the sport can become. The more the sport can grow. And the more the sport can heal from what has been the overused and abused pay-per-view model. This is a good thing, believe it or not, where everybody in boxing can benefit. Even DAZN? In a way. For using what are DAZN's flagship fighters, like, say, Anthony Joshua, Ryan Garcia. DAZN is getting a piece of that action. They are being compensated for what fighters Netflix wants to rent out. So they get to make money without having to kick out any. And that's how they benefit from all of this. Even if they are being used as a feeder system for Netflix to feed them big boxing matches, big fights, they do benefit in that way. They get a little piece of the action. In light of this official announcement from the horse's mouth, we sort of have to circle back now to David Benavidez and what were his recent comments following his win over Zurdo Ramirez that Zuffa Boxing is actively blocking the Jai Opetaia fight. Comments that don't hold up the scrutiny, no, don't hold any water, because Zuffa Boxing are the ones behind this fight. You can't use Jai Opetaia migrating to Zuffa as an excuse not to fight him when Benn migrated to Zuffa and Ryan Garcia is still fighting him. You can't claim that Zuffa Boxing and Dana White are the ones holding up the fight without having that accusation challenged. Under normal circumstances, you could do the Johnny Foreigner thing to Jai Opetaia, who's all the way down there in Australia. So it's easy for an American boxing fan to forget about him, to dismiss him, but he has an American mouthpiece in the form of Dana White, and I expect Dana to do the talking. He's rumored to be facing Noel Mikhailian for Noel's WBC title in late summer in August, and you can expect them to address a David Benavidez fight in short order. He's running out of places to hide. Running out of excuses. You can't claim that Jai Opetaia signing to Zuffa makes a fight with him impossible when Conor just signed to Zuffa and Ryan's fighting him. So why can't you fight Jai again? It puts pressure on David Benavidez to come up with answers. Tangible ones. Are you really moving down to 175? Back down. Because it's Bivol or Opetaia. Those are the fights that people want to see you in. You who insist on boxing exclusively on pay-per-view, if you want the extra money, there needs to be extra danger. More than Zurdo provided. Opponent's gotta be extra good. What David Benavidez fans like to frequent this channel and complain about my coverage. It's Bivol or Opetaia, baby. You're gonna have to fight one of them if what you've been saying is, I'm not gonna fight Jai Opetaia right now because I want to focus on Bivol and I'm moving back down to light heavyweight. Okay, then do it. I'm waiting! I don't actually expect David to return to the light heavyweight division, but that's what he's been running around saying, so go do it. Do it. And if for any reason at all, that Dimitri Bivol fight doesn't happen because he's busy, because something's going on, whatever. Do it. Jai Opetaia is right there. If for any reason you can't make the fight with Dimitri or you can't return to the light heavyweight division, you can stay put, stay at cruiser, and fight Jai. One way or another, you've got to fight somebody good. Really good. No excuses. You know, the PBC by themselves don't have much for David Benavidez to do, and in a very general sense, the cruiserweight division doesn't offer up many alternatives. Cruiserweight talent pool is a very diverse one, not mostly comprised of Americans. There are very few American cruiserweights, so David doesn't have a lot of alternatives to a Jai Opetaia fight so long as he's up there. At cruiserweight, that's the big one. That's the one that gets you paid. That's the one that gets you the most money. In many ways, he has to have it. But is he going to? Don't dismiss the possibility that David Benavidez takes the rest of the year off. To avoid moving back down to light heavyweight and avoid fighting Jai Opetaia, might not fight at all. Not again. Don't rule that out. Out of sight, out of mind. That's how they might play it. They can say whatever they want to say to the media, none of which matters once the opening bell sounds. If you are opposite the ring, a Jai Opetaia, a Dimitri Bivol, if you fight him at light heavyweight, you're going to be drained and you're going to lose. If you return to light heavyweight, if you stay at cruiser and you fight Jai, you get stopped. You get knocked out. So pick your poison.